Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and tonight I just got back from watching the new horror film Clown in a Cornfield. And yeah, when I first saw the trailer for this one, I thought it looked really cheesy and ridiculous. And it is, don't get me wrong, it is. But then I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score was actually pretty high, and that at least got me curious. I had never seen anyone talk about this movie, and I do follow several horror movie, YouTubers and stuff, so usually if there's something kind of niche coming out, I hear someone talking about it. So it was strange when this was coming out and there's zero talk about it at all. But I was like, whatever, I'll go check it out. Why not, right? So what I did not know was that this movie was based on a book series that is already an existing property. So there's a lot of stuff that people already know about it. I did not realize this until after I was out of the movie. But that will become relevant later. First, let me just say that this movie is very cheesy. It knows exactly what it is. It's just being your classic slasher movie, right? I will say it kind of does come with a little bit of a twist, which I am going to go ahead and spoil in a little bit. But, yeah, it's just, girl moves to new town. There's a whole bunch of town history that we got to get filled in on. It's a small town that, it's one of those flyover states, they call them. And basically there's a bunch of town history. There's this clown mascot that's all over their corn syrup that they produce, because this is a big corn farming town. And basically now there's a slasher dressed up as a clown killing people, and that's pretty much the gist of it, right? And my thing is, if you've seen a slasher, you've seen most slashers, right? Most of them don't tend to stray away from the formula too much, and this one definitely does not, right? It's other than kind of it's one big twist, it kind of is still just the generic slasher that you're kind of looking for. Having said that, it's got its funny moments. There are some times where I'm like, okay, they're trying to do a joke here and it's not really landing, but other times I'm like, you know what, I appreciate the, what would you call it, the energy, I guess, the comedic energy that some of these actors are giving off, even if the jokes are not necessarily oh, I'm actually laughing. It's you know what, they're kind of being sarcastic, they're kind of being jokey, not to a degree to where this feels like a parody necessarily, but it almost feels like a parody sometimes, so it's definitely riding that line. I'm it's not quite actually being a joke, but there are some deaths where I'm okay, that was just a funny thing that happened. There's small moments where they're trying to work a phone, but it's one of those old dial phones and they don't know how to use it, because they're all Gen Z, right? So there's some funny stuff like that. I would say about half of it really works, but it's fun enough. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I do have a couple of questions, and I'm gonna get into those in the spoilers. Okay, so here we go. That's your spoiler warning. Okay, I'm gonna start talking about what is actually going on and what it is. Okay, all right, here we go. So the big spoiler here really is just that so the group of teenagers that the new kid has made friends with, they were accused about a year ago. They were accused of burning down this factory, the corn syrup factory, because they are a group who makes YouTube videos and they kind of do these prank videos. And in the movie, at least, apparently it's different in the book, but in the movie at least, they were there filming a video, a fire started, and it was said that it was just an electrical fire, and it wasn't actually their fault at all, but the whole town basically blames them anyways, saying of course it was them, so they're treated like shit by pretty much all the adults, right? And maybe justifiably so if you were to believe that it was them, because a lot of people lost their jobs. Some people even offed themselves because they lost their jobs, and there was a lot of darkness in this really small town that actually depends on those small labor jobs. That is the blood of this community, right? So losing that factory hurt a lot. Now the big twist is basically that it's not just one slasher who's doing this, who's offing these teens, it is pretty much all of your major adult figures that you meet in the movie. They're all working together, and they are all after these teens. So it is the teacher, it is the sheriff, it is the waitress at the diner, it is the cashier at the gas station. It's everybody, right? Including, and this was probably the most surprising one, including I think he's the mayor, I think, or at least he's like the richest person in town. I don't know. Anyways, he's basically like the leader of this thing that they're doing, right? And they say it's basically also been a tradition in their family to do this, because back in the 60s we had hippies, back in the 90s we had burnouts, back in the 30s we had homeless people, you know, like in basically every other generation, this family gets a bunch of the community together and they do this exact thing where they dress up as clowns and they take care of whatever they think is the societal ill that's destroying their good old-fashioned town, right? You know, so there is some commentary to all that. You know, you could break all that down. It's not that deep, right? But that is what they're kind of going with this one, right? You have like a generational thing. You also have like a, you know, society trying to, it's almost a Hot Fuzz thing where like they're trying to build the perfect little town, so they gotta rid themselves of any of this nonsense. So of course, a bunch of Gen Z teenagers making YouTube videos. They probably should have said TikToks. I feel like that would have made better sense for like this era of stuff they're talking about, but they're YouTubers instead of TikTokers. But whatever, I don't know. TikTokers would have made more sense, but who knows. Anyways, here's my thing about all this, right? It kind of plays out the way any slasher does, right? You got a decent amount of kills, you know, you got a bunch of suspenseful moments, half the teen group gets killed, the main girl manages to escape, and they manage to kill a lot of the clowns, right? I think all of the clowns, you know, assuming there's not still several out there, because there was at least a decent sized group. There's at least like 10 clowns, I think. They don't reveal who all of them were. I don't think it really matters, but it is like, you know, it was a lot of the adult characters. Here's my thing, and here's like the one big thing that actually bothers me, and I can't figure this out. So I'm watching the movie. The dad, or the mayor, or maybe he's just like the richest guy in town. I don't remember if he's actually the mayor or not. But he is the dad of one of the kids, right? One of the teens that's being hunted down. And he's basically disowned his own kid. He's saying like, this is not my kid. He let my daughter drown on some other incidents. I think that's my other thing. There's like 3 different motives here, right? I guess just to cover all their bases. There's the, oh, we do this every generation to like weed out societal ills. There's that motivation. The second motivation of, oh, these kids are being blamed for burning down the factory and we all hate them now. The third motivation is that, oh, this one specific kid was supposed to be watching his sister and he wasn't watching her, and she died in some other incident off screen years ago. That happened also, and the dad hates his son for it. So there's like 3 things happening all at once, right? So, you know, don't get confused, but there's they kind of give you a lot of motivation for why this is happening. But the dad, the mayor, the main clown guy, he leaves his kid up to hang from a noose. And he's, you know, the only thing supporting him is this car that the main girl's dad had driven in here trying to save them. He drove his car into the building. So the mayor, or whatever, the guy's dad, the killer clown, he gets in the car, he drives off, and that way his son will start to hang again because he's not supported by anything. And then we see this other kid come back who, you know, we thought had died earlier. He comes back, he's like the hunter kid. He has his shotgun and he shoots down the noose, that way the kid doesn't die, right? So the day's saved there. And then the rest of the group kind of all just gets in a car. You got the main girl, the guy that was hanging by the noose, the hunter kid, and her dad, the dad, the good dad, the doctor who was there to, save them. They all leave in a car. They manage to take out one more clown who was still remaining. And then the movie just cuts to a year later. Okay? It just cuts to a year later, and they're all kind of moving on with their lives. Nobody once mentions the fact that, at least from what I saw, the evil clown dad, the mayor guy, he just drove away. Because he got in the car and he drove it away, so that way his own son would hang from the noose. He wouldn't have anything to stand on. And he's never mentioned again. He's never seen again. Nothing seems to happen to him. Right? And I was like, oh, that's really weird. I thought for sure maybe there'll be an after credits scene where he shows up again. Or maybe I missed something, right? I was really confused because, like, wait, he's revealed as the main villain of the movie. He's like the main guy. And then he escapes and no one mentions it. No one says, like, oh, your dad is still out there. He's trying to kill you. I wonder if he'll ever show up. It's been like a year now. He hasn't shown up anymore. And the movie just ends and no one says anything about it. Right? And I was like, okay, maybe it's like sequel bait. Maybe they just left him alive, but the fact that no one brought it up was weird. So I look it up, right? Right now, on Wikipedia, if you look up the plot of this movie, they have the entire plot laid out for this movie, except at the very end of the Wikipedia plot, they say that the dad gets shot by the kid that had the shotgun. But I swear to you, I just watched the movie. That did not happen in the movie that I saw. So I'm really curious if maybe there was a scene that got cut, or maybe, I don't know, maybe the film at my movie theater jumped 5 seconds and I missed it somehow. It was the strangest thing, because if he had died in that moment, then it suddenly makes sense that none of the characters bring it up, no one's worried about him, all that stuff. Like, that all makes sense now. But in the movie that I saw in the movie theater, he does not die. He just drives away in the car and he's gone from the movie. We never see him again. The main villain. He's just gone. And I'm very confused because Wikipedia says he died, and I tried to look up if like anyone had done a Reddit post discussing this at all. No one seems to be talking about this, right? So I'm almost convinced now that maybe my movie theater like jumped 5 seconds and I missed like a small sequence where he gets shot or something, because I didn't see it. I never saw this happen, but the internet is telling me that he died. So I don't know, that's just my major little nitpick at the end, where I'm like, everything else about this movie, it's a delightful little slasher. It's nothing new or groundbreaking, like you're not gonna find anything particularly special here, but if you want to kind of waste an hour and a half and you just want to see some decent skills or decent kills and like an okay creepy vibe going on, it's fine, right? Like, you can go ahead and rent this thing, or you can just wait for it to be on. I think it's gonna be on Shudder. It's a Shudder movie. It's okay, it's whatever. But that ending I'm so confused by, and I don't know, I almost want to say that when this goes on Shudder eventually, I'm gonna have to try and watch this movie again, or at least fast forward to the ending, because I swear to you, I did not see that character die, but everyone else is saying that he's dead, and it's really weird. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. It's a decent slasher. It's nothing special, but it's fine. Like, it's, if you really just have like an hour and a half and you're like, hey, I want to see a horror movie, I want to see a slasher, but not one I've seen 100 times before. Let's make it something new. That way, at the very least, I don't know which characters are dying, and I don't know how they're gonna die. This is an okay way to do that, I think. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.